Hello everybody, my name is Bob, and you may be thinking to yourself, what is this bullshit and where are my gameplay videos? Well, first things first, this is my channel, and I put anything on it that I wish to. Most of the time, that's just gameplay videos. However, there have been things developing that I feel like I need to say a word or two about certain topics. Actually, I could say a word or two about many topics. The topic I have in mind right now is gun rights. Now, for a lot of people, the answer to the question of why have gun rights is it's in the Constitution. It's our right. I'm not giving it away, and fuck you. However, if you should ask the question, why should I have gun rights? Why do we need gun rights? Well, there's something I should set the stage with this comment, which is that most of the outrage about mass shootings is because of the media. They fluff it up like it's a big thing. If you think about 40,000 people a year who die from suicides, 40,000 people a year who die from the opiate crisis, 100,000 plus a year. I'm not sure of the exact figure. I think it's like 300,000 who die in auto accidents, and the chances of being killed in a mass shooting, I've heard, are something in 1 in 100 million, something like that. So your chances of dying in a mass shooting are very, very low, something on the par of you being struck by lightning. But the news media have sensationalized it to the point where we have people like Buttigieg, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, and I don't make fun of it anyway, so I don't even need to know how to pronounce his last name. Buttigieg, whatever his name is, who are saying that straight up, and I got to appreciate his honesty in saying this. He wants to confiscate guns. Period. He wants to go in people's homes, take their guns. So that's me setting the stage for this. Now, and to answer the question, why should we have gun rights? Aside from there are a lot of people, including probably me, who would say, it's my constitutional right, bitch, and fuck you. But trying to explain this to people who may not have any kind of background in it, one significant reason why we need gun rights is that the government will be less inclined to take advantage if we have an armed populace. Now, people will say, well, you don't have F-15s. What are you going to do if the army comes for you? Well, what did the Viet Cong do when the army came for them? They didn't have F-15s. So not that God forbid I should want any kind of war. I don't. But that's simply the thought in their minds that, hey, these people are armed, can have a sort of chilling effect on their decisions to curb our liberties or treat us like slaves. That's one strong reason why we should have gun rights. Probably the best reason. Also, why is it their business? People who have never hurt anyone in their lives own guns. Why do they care? Why would they want to take the guns of people who have never broken a serious law in their lives? And they do want to take their guns. So there's that. I find the rhetoric from the Democrats lately very disturbing. I very reluctantly voted Democrat last year. Also, I'm not a huge gun nut. I've ever only purchased one gun. I've adopted some, but I've only ever purchased one gun. And I'm not a big fanatic, The last time I went out shooting was years ago. I'm going to go out, now, because the people are saying they're going to take your guns. I'm going to get refamiliarized with how you use a gun safely and responsibly, because that right they may be taking that right away or attempting to do so. That would be very foolish. That would be extremely foolish for them to attempt to do that. But you never know. And I can't really be a defender of gun rights very well if I don't know that much about guns. So I'm going to re-educate. I mean, I used to be more into them than I am now, but I'm going to re-educate myself and get more proficient. Yeah, the reason why, if I'm just talking to average YouTube viewer out there, reason why you should care about gun rights, aside from the fact that they're your constitutional right, is that government and corporations want control. Now, as far as, I mean, most people think conservatives are all for government, or all for corporations, but they're against government. That cannot be the case anymore, because corporations own government. Corporations are the enemy. Government just does what they tell them to at this point. So the corporations no longer have a reason to support those who support gun rights, Republicans, imperfect though they are, because they don't have to worry about corporate taxes anymore, because we haven't had any kind of real corporate tax that affects the big guys for decades now. They haven't paid income tax or any kind of tax on their profits for decades now. So people who think government is the real enemy, well, government is just doing what they're told to. The government is just doing what the corporations tell them to. So the corporations are really more our enemy than the government. And you see corporations now supporting many leftist causes, including gun control, and they are really our main concern, because they don't have our best interests in heart. Not like government ever did, but they don't have our best interests in heart, and we need to protect ourselves. I'm not talking about protect ourselves as in shoot them, but I'm saying that protect ourselves so that we don't have to. Protect ourselves so that they understand fully and clearly, straight up, that we are not going to let them take control of this country, or they're not going to let them take control of this country more than they have, because they in many respects they have. So that's my short message really on why we need gun rights, because we do. One, it's our constitutional freaking right. Don't give it up. People who have given it up never get it back again. Britain gave it up. They're never going to get it back. Australia gave it up. They're never going to get it back. And they think, well, they're not going to come from my, duck hunting guns. They're not going to come from my, pigeon shooting guns or whatever. Yes, they are. That's what they've done already. In Britain, Australia, you can't get a gun without having to go through some enormous hoops. So once you lose it, you will never get it back. And so, my fellow Americans, I'm telling you, please don't lose it. It's your right. Why would you give that up? Why would you give up your right? It doesn't make any sense. People are brainwashed. The media is helping them right along with its sensationalism. Mass shootings are horrible things, and so are auto accidents and deaths from cancer, and even more tragically, in a sense, because it's preventable, deaths from suicide and drug overdoses, the opioid epidemic, which I could say much about that, but I won't. All needless death is horrible. As a firm believer in God's laws, and I know many of my viewers don't agree with that, but as a firm believer in that, that there's nothing that seems more horrible to me than the senseless loss of life. But also the senseless loss of freedom is a bad thing, because sooner or later that will also lead to the senseless loss of life. So just don't. When you're whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, doesn't matter, or a Green Party or independent or whatever you are, when your candidate comes around and says we're going to confiscate your guns, just tell them no, you're not. I'm not going to vote for you if you say that. Now people say also, well, they just now people I think I said Buttigieg before. I think I was actually meaning Beto O'Rourke. Beto O'Rourke said that he was straight up going to come into people's houses and confiscate their guns. Beto O'Rourke. And I just totally lost my thought, didn't I? Oh, yeah, Beto O'Rourke is actually for gun confiscation. He isn't very specific about what he's actually, which kind of guns he's coming for. I have to assume he means he's coming for all of them. But a lot of the more moderate Democrats say, well, we just want the assault weapon ban. We just want to ban assault weapons and large-sized magazines. Well, there is no such thing as an assault weapon. An assault weapon is not a proper classification of a weapon. There are full-style military assault rifles that have options of switching to fully automatic or burst or whatever. Those are fully automatic rifles. Those are not available for sale to your average person. What they're talking about is a semi-automatic rifle, which is probably functionally no different from your, dad's hunting rifle. It's a semi-automatic rifle. That's what they're wanting to ultimately get rid of, is semi-automatic rifles. Semi-automatic rifles, they fire every time you pull the trigger. A fully automatic rifle, if it's on full auto mode, you hold on the trigger and it keeps spraying bullets. Those are not legal, and they haven't been for a long time. So, what they're talking about when they're talking about assault weapons is basically evil-looking hunting rifles. And also bans on high-capacity magazines, which I can kind of understand, but the problem is it's the thin edge of the wedge. So I'm only against those because it is the thin edge of the wedge. They start with banning high-capacity magazines, and they move on to banning assault weapons. There are no assault weapons. Then they move on to banning all guns. If you approve of the assault weapons ban, thinking that it will make anyone safer, all you're doing is giving them a wedge. Giving them a wedge into essentially total gun confiscation, which is what they've had in Britain and they've had in Australia. It's already happened. They've already lost their rights. They've already lost them. You don't have to. I don't have to. This is a freaking America. We're not going to give them up. And so them wanting to outlaw guns, it's just madness. There are more guns in America than there are people, it's just insanity. But also, don't imagine for a second that any nut who really wants one isn't going to get one. There's an active black market in Britain for rifles. You can get rifles, you just can't get them legally. So that means people who are ready to break the law can get them anytime they want to. And who are we trying to be protected from? Law-abiding citizens or nuts? Well, obviously we're supposed to be protected against nuts. But the laws proposed by the Democrats, and I'm not picking on them only. Republicans have gone along with this far too much. They really want to get rid of all of them. Don't let them. Don't let them. It's our right. It's our right in the Constitution. Don't let them. So, yeah, and if anyone who is genuinely interested in why they should care about gun rights, leave a post in the comments. If you're genuinely open-minded on the subject, if you're just doing liberal propaganda, I've heard it all. You just don't bother, okay? But if you're actually curious for real as to why we should care about having gun rights, even if you don't care about owning guns yourself, and like I said, I've only ever bought one, and I barely used that one. I'm going to work on educating myself more now, since they're saying they're going to take it away. and perhaps I was a little bit negligent in that respect, that I assumed that these are rights we would always have in America. Of course, there are communists in America now, so I never thought that would happen either, but yeah. So anyway, if you are genuinely uncertain why we should care about having gun rights, leave something in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer you. If you're just a liberal troll, don't bother. So I guess that's it. Either before this video or after this video, I'll have another Doom video coming out. There's a lot of things going on in my life right now, and a lot of good things going on in my life right now, so I don't know to what extent I'm going to be able to upload stuff a lot, but I will do as time and energy and all those things allow. So, well, that's all for right now. Till next time, hasta la vista. Adios.